And here we go.
Hey guys, what's up? Today we have with me two really epic dudes. One is Ashwin Mohan, my friend for about 13 years now. Isn't that right, Ashwin? 13
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
And
Yeah, we
he's an absolutely epic dude, one of the most respected yogis in India, and an absolutely fantastic martial artist. He started MMA before it was ever cool or a thing in India back in 2008 with Shoot Fighters. I still have your T-shirt by the way, bro.
Oh, really?
Shootfighters.wordpress.com.
I don't
Yes.
have one.
Yeah. I still, last year I went training. I used to go regularly wearing the same T-shirt. One
That's
was
cool,
from
man.
one was Chakuraki Gym T-shirt. Other was Shoot Fighters. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool to know.
Yeah, and you guys should check out more about Ashwin on YouTube. Also, he's a prolific speaker at TED Talks, and I guess most importantly, just an epic dude. Somebody you would love to spend time with, maybe have a beer with or a joint with. And we also have with us Blake Luvon. Um, Blake is literally one of the most interesting people you could ever cross paths with. Not only is he a genius in SEO and web development, I can safely say that my store would not be that profitable without his inputs. Don't steal him from me, guys. Yeah, yeah, and seriously, he's a huge difference maker. He has come face to face with a polar bear. He has worked in Rwanda in rescue missions, and yeah, I think the most important thing is you guys should check out his house, right? You see everything behind him. He's built all that by hand with his own hands. This dude is the man basically. Yeah,
Thanks,
uh,
Wow,
Vinesh.
that's amazing.
yeah, and the owner of Feather Skill, of course. And I am Vinesh Chandrakant, man.
Dude, you're the
Just
man.
kidding.
Vinesh.
So, yes, guys, let's roll. First thing, bro, Ashwin, I would love to ask you, given all your experience in yoga, meditation, and natural ways of healing and improving one's health, how does CBD or Vijaya possibly fit into that picture?
Vijay,
Vijaya is
was that?
RSO, cannabidiol. The
That
basically
one,
it's
okay.
cannabis
Okay.
oil cold pressed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are mentioned in the textbooks also. There are many properties that cannabis has. Of course, back then, when I was studying Ayurveda, we're still studying the ancient books, and in the ancient books, it's always written that um, they don't know the molecules. They don't know what's CBD, THC. They don't know the difference. But they've talked about its neurogenerative powers, and they've talked about its anti-inflammatory powers, and they've talked about its um, uh, anti-aging powers. Okay, so CBD oil or oil extracted from cannabis has been used for centuries now. It's not something new. It's been used like for a long time. People used to use it to enhance their mental abilities and to be able to do things, to be able to visualize and think of futures that we couldn't really ever think of. Now, everybody's heard about the stoned ape theory. They say that humans evolved with psychedelics
Yeah.
because that's the only way we can go to the next level. But then uh, everybody needs to understand this at some point.
It's very interesting, bro. You said about how psychedelics have been such a huge huge influence in the evolution of civilization, right?
Yeah, upbringing.
And I swear, bro, because we can see like whether it's ancient Egypt, whether it's ancient Mesopotamia, whether it's ancient Sumeria, they all had some form of a psychotropic substance within their use. So this is a question worth asking whether we would have actually been here without psychotropics. Blake, remember you told me you have tried peyote before. Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
Um, I mean, it is. I want to make sure, and be extremely respectful about it.
Of course.
You know, I, peyote is indeed, it's psychotropic, cactus here. And my experience with it was, directly with native peoples, here in the United States. And it very, very much is, that plant and the experiences that people have with it is all about what they call prayer, and so it's not like it's recreational, or hey, let's just have some fun and do this, or it's a ancient there's an ancient history with that plant here, and I can't claim to know even 0.1% of really what is what really is this full story and depth of peyote as a plant. But I did work with several native peoples here in the US for a period of years, and it's interesting that there, I want to say legally there's this phrase here called a body. It's called the Native American Church. I don't even know exactly how to define it. I mean, I think it is a legally registered church. I actually haven't even researched that, but it's called the Native American Church, and it's a way that historically in the United States, when many of these substances were being officially claimed as illegal, as drugs, it's a way that Native American communities were able to preserve their legal right to use peyote, was actually to form a church and to say that this plant, is part of their ceremonies for this church. And so, yeah, I would, I would, be involved in some of these ceremonies, these prayer experiences. And again, I want to be really respectful with how I speak about it. Just because it comes from this ancient, tradition in their culture, and I'm not that, right? I'm a white guy, I'm a white Northern European mutt that happens to be in the United States now. So I had this very blessed chapter of life where I, for a few years, where I was able to experience that. And but all I can say is that it is absolutely that concept, I think a similar experience with peyote that people have with other types of psychotropic substances, whether it's marijuana with THC, whether it's ayahuasca, from South America, whether it's ibogaine, from Africa. I think you used the term, Ashwin, neurogenesis or something like it. I almost want to go back to like Jim Morrison and the Doors, right, from the 1960s. Opening up the doors of perception. It indeed. I mean, these things, these substances do just help you. I call it get out of our bubble. It's it's something that I would say is beyond philosophy. That over the many years, as I've been just kind of watching life, watching beingness, it's very clear to me that most people live in this little bubble. We live in a self-created reality of our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own memories, our own impressions of life, our own desires. We live in this bubble, this little story that we tell ourselves our same story every minute of every day. And these substances, I think, really help people to kind of get out of that story, to start to see, something else, that really is, other aspects of reality. So, it's powerful stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And I also think that, Blake, that as you mentioned, it's very ancient, right? The whole culture of using the medicine,
Yeah.
whether it's peyote, it goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
And in India, as you know, Ashwin, we have Soma, which also
Yeah.
goes back thousands of years, and also psychotropic substance. Don't you think, Ashwin, it's possible that because humans evolved alongside psychedelics, as you mentioned, that in order to live at our most highest potential, you know, in order to live at the most maximum potential a human being can live at, perhaps it is also kind of required that they fulfill systems within their body, such as the endocannabinoid system for fulfilling the cannabinoid requirements, and I don't know if there's a system for psychotropic specifically, but given like the way Blake said, that it's more about insight, whether somebody uses something recreationally, right? Like even painkillers which are used in hospitals can be, even cough syrup can be used recreationally if the intent is not correct, right? And uh, but do you feel the whole point of whether it's soma or whether it's peyote, it's so that we can live at our maximum potential? Like, what would you say is the difference in your life before experiencing psychotropics and after experiencing psychotropics?
Okay, man, that's a lot of thoughts you put together there. Let me start with them one by one. First of all, the whole endocannabinoid system or any of these neuroreceptors that we have, they exist for a reason. They're not there. I mean, why do you have neuroreceptors for illegal drugs? Because it's part of nature. It's really not. So there's a big difference between people doing drugs recreationally and people doing drugs for evolving and getting better at what they do. Half of Silicon Valley is microdosing either on LSD or on psychedelic mushrooms like cubensis and so on and so forth. So, and of course, everyone's smoking pot and everyone's like, whoever's in the big creative field, people who give you your devices on which we're now talking, they had to get high to create these damn things. Okay. And so did Steve Jobs. He was always having LSD, right? So here's something we need to understand. The people who are at the cutting edge of innovation are doing psychedelics. They might not be open about it, but nowadays they are open about it because it's starting to become legal everywhere. And I'm sure India will catch up too. And then, I really think we need to define what this recreationally business is, because a lot of people do drugs to forget their pain. And that's really a wrong way, because there are better ways. You need to solve your problem, not forget your pain. Pain is good. If you got pain, then feel the damn thing, go fix your problem, get your life in order, right? That's what you need to do, not do drugs and forget about it for the next 6 hours. Because that's not the way, that's not evolution. So the intent very much matters. We have everything ritually, right? Like I'm a Giri yogi. It's pretty much legal for me in this country to have hash and whatever, but I don't really smoke up. I don't do that because it's not good for the lungs. Okay, but even though that it's quite legal for me to do that. Why is it legal for spiritual people? Why did, like Blake said, the South Americans have to open a church to create the space for this? It's because always when you talk about spirituality, it's about becoming a better version of yourself every day. That's easily possible with the Aushadhi. So that's what we call it in the yoga textbooks. It's mentioned in all the yoga textbooks. Aushadhi is the way to, one of the ways. And this has been modified, okay? Because Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, they say that Aushadhi is one of the ways to get enlightenment. But that original line was not that. It's been modified by people because they got afraid of the power of all of the Aushadhi, all of the medicine. So in India, everything grows, okay? It's not just weed. Even I have seen peyote growing in India in some parts. And
Really?
I've seen, I mean, in Pondicherry, I found psilocybin mushrooms, right? You got to really, you got to look under the dung of cows, right? And you just flip it over and suddenly there are these things growing. So you nurture them a little more, they become really big. Yeah. And, when you scratch them, they turn blue. like
Yes.
a lightish, a steel blue. So that's how you know it's psychedelic mushrooms. So everything's growing here, right? And I'm sure our ancestors had been chomping on them, eating them, smoking them, doing them ritually, and then elevating themselves into higher levels of consciousness. So when my teacher wanted to teach me about karma, he wanted to teach me how we, share bonds with people across lifetimes. This is not a lesson you can give without psychedelics. Okay, so he brought out his big chillum and he said, "You got to smoke this, and then I'm going to teach you, because only then I can understand what all these things are." And then when that opened my brain up, I could process that whole information, and now I'm able to explain it to people in simple English. So I think it's really important to understand with what intent you're doing it. I'm not really for partying with drugs. I'm not in that. I mean, I don't mind good music and dancing, but then that's got to have some intent, you know. I think a lot of people don't understand this. So they go and just have it, and then they're looking for just a different experience than the normal waking reality. But there's no guidance. Most people are not guided, because I was guided by my gurus like a small child. I was led into the world of the mind. What are the different layers? Where are the memories stored? Where's the logic stored? Where's all your flow charts, right? If this, then that, where's that? Where are your relationships with people stored? I have a proper map of the mind according to the Upanishads. And then we went and explored that. There was no other way. I cannot sit and do breathing exercises and feel the same, whatever people may say. So it's an important part of spiritual evolution. And I mean, all evolution, I think, is spiritual, because we're trying to become better versions of ourselves as we evolve. That's our call. That's our basic nature. So I think these are, you cannot overstate the importance of these plants and herbs. You know.
Yeah.